What is going on, all you bus nuts, geeks, and enthusiasts out there? Welcome to another episode of Motorcoach World. My name is James. Buses are designed to carry a lot of people, some more than others depending on their type of use and which country they're designed by and operate in. But regardless of where they were made and what they were built for, one thing is for sure. When you design a vehicle to carry lots of people, making sure those people can all get out quickly with multiple options is a very important thing, especially during emergencies. For those of you who have ridden on buses, whether it be a school bus, city transit bus, or a coach bus, we've all seen those doors as well as windows labeled emergency exits while on board. And I'm sure many of you viewers have wondered just what will happen if you just so happen to pull that lever or push out that window that's labeled as an emergency exit. Well, as a kid, I definitely did, but at the risk of detention, going to jail, or having to face angry Asian parents.
Did you go grade? You do good in school? Why you not doctor? Huh?
I refrained from ever satisfying my curiosity of actually opening an emergency exit on a bus. Well, today we're going to satisfy all of you that have ever wondered about emergency exits on a coach bus and how they work. And yes, that includes demonstrating the kicking out of a coach bus window. You guys see the lengths I go to for all of you to make these videos? Oh, and please consider becoming a patron to this channel, because when the president of Peoria Charter sees this video, he's going to be taking the cost of that window out of my paycheck, because he doesn't know about this yet. And those windows aren't cheap. A motor coach, just like any other type of bus, is basically a large metal cage with lots of holes that are covered up with panels and glass. It's the most efficient way to design a platform to carry large amounts of people on wheels safely and comfortably. But regardless of how safe and comfortable you make a bus, there will always be the risk of accidents. And when a bus is in a dangerous situation, whether it's upside down or on its side, or it's stuck somewhere hazardous like a set of railroad tracks, or maybe even in a collision or on fire, God forbid, all the comfort, size, and performance features suddenly become irrelevant. I mean, at this point, there's only one design feature that everyone hopes the engineers got right. And that would be, how do we get all the passengers off the bus as fast as possible with as many options as possible? But that's not as easy as it sounds. You see, you can design a bus where every floor hatch, wall panel, and window can simply be pushed out if need be, but then you would have passengers falling out of the bus all the time, because if you made the emergency exits that easy to locate and access, someone would find a way to misuse them and hurt themselves and then want to sue someone. Yep, that's the world we live in. So basically, the bottom line is, bus designers are given the job to design the strongest and most stable bus as comfortable and as large as possible, but can also open up in as many different places as possible while being stupid proof, so that idiots can't easily mess with them and fall out while the bus is rolling down the interstate. I hope these guys have good lawyers on their payrolls. Okay, before I go any further, please don't use this video in place of a proper training or a safety video on how to safely evacuate a bus during an emergency. They make really dry and boring safety videos for that, which actually covers topics much more thoroughly, so that you and anyone else watching it will know what you're doing if you should ever need to bail out of a bus that's in danger. Whereas my YouTube videos, however informative, are primarily meant for entertainment. Basically, I'm saying don't sue me if you can't figure out how to get off a bus after watching this video, because that's not what this video is for. Here in North America, different makes and models of coach buses may vary in the design of their emergency exits, but regardless of how differently they are, they must conform to the guidelines of the Federal Department of Transportation regulations, which makes them pretty similar to each other. Whether it's a Van Hool, MCI, Prevost, Temsa, Mercedes, Setra, Irizar, is that all of them? Well, whatever the model of bus is, all motor coaches in the US are going to have the following emergency exits. The roof hatches are probably the most noticeable ones for passengers, as you typically would not use these openable doors unless things are really bad. There are usually two of these regardless of what make and model of motor coach you get in North America. Now, let me be specific. At this point, I'm not talking about Freightliner, box trucks, conversion buses. I'm not talking about school buses, city buses, and I'm not talking about mini buses. I'm talking about full-size, 45-foot motor coaches or coach buses, as well as the 35-foot short coach buses like the Van Hool CX35 and the MCI J3500. Typically, there's one hatch located at the front of the coach bus and one towards the rear. So folks, keep in mind that the nearest emergency exit may be behind you. In most cases, these emergency roof hatches also have an alternative purpose as ventilation hatches. Some can pop open partially by pushing up on them to allow fresh air into the coach buses with several different configurations. Most of these have some kind of latch or knob that can twist or pull to unlatch the hatch completely from the spring mechanism to fully open the hatch to allow people to exit. There are clear instructions on these hatches on how to use them for either purpose, and it's the owner's responsibility to make sure that these instructions are readable and that the paint or decals haven't worn off over time. If the emergency exit instructions are no longer readable, the coach is technically not in compliance with DOT regulations and should be put out of service until the paint or decals can be reapplied. It's also important to note that it's illegal in the United States to operate a coach bus with the roof hatch fully opened. Now, I've climbed onto the roof of a coach bus several times through the roof hatch, and it's not an easy climb. And once you get on top, you truly realize just how high up the roof of a motor coach really is. The roof hatches were designed for passengers to still be able to exit a motor coach that's on its side with the doors either blocked or inoperable. But if the coach is right side up and for some reason you have to use a roof hatch, I hope you have decent upper body strength in your arms because it's a heck of a climb up there. And jumping off the roof of a coach bus is also kind of scary. I mean, I've never done it, but it looks like a long way down, basically from the second floor of a building. The windows of a motor coach are one of the best things about riding on a coach bus. They're large and make for a very scenic ride. And they also function as emergency exits. Most of the large side glass windows can be pushed open by either lifting a bar at the bottom of the window or via a red lever on the side of the window, depending on the make and model of the coach. The windows are hinged on top, allowing you to swing the window outwards, but not all windows on the sides are openable. The openable ones are labeled on the bottom with either stickers or metal plates designating these windows as emergency exits. Once again, it's the responsibility of the owners of the coach to make sure that these markings are completely visible and readable. I mean, over time, these stickers get ripped off by passengers accidentally or purposely picking on them, usually from school kids that get bored on long road trips. The metal plates also get faded by sunlight or by the rubbing of clothes or other abrasive objects from passengers as well. Now, if you're caught by DOT with an emergency exit window without a readable label, your coach will be taken out of service until the problem is corrected, and you might get a fine as well. The front windows on a coach bus are the largest windows of them all. Also known as windshields, they are much larger, thicker, and heavier than the other windows on board. These windows are designed to be able to withstand a lot of punishment from rocks and other road debris impacting them at high speeds to huge amount of wind pressure from the outside pushing in while the coach is traveling at high speeds. But from the inside, they're designed to be pushed out if enough force is applied to them. With a proper kick or the body weight of an average adult pushing against them from the inside, the windshield of a coach bus can be detached out of their sockets, causing them to fall outwards onto the ground. Now, if you ever do have to exit in this manner, be really careful when jumping out because you're probably going to be landing on all that shattered glass. And if you slip or if you're wearing sandals or barefoot, I don't know, you may want someone down there to help you or something. And yes, I've seen people barefoot on my bus before. Don't ask me why. But if I had to choose between my life and getting cut by glass, I would choose option one every time. Now, the human race, especially as of lately, has demonstrated an impressive knack for the lack of common sense. If you are in a situation where you have to get off a bus quickly, don't start pushing upwards on the roof hatch or start body slamming the front windshields if the front entrance door is right there, wide open and available to use. In emergency situations, the front door can be an emergency exit too. An emergency exit is any exit you can find to get off the bus as quickly as possible during an emergency that will lead you to safety. So obviously, if there's a raging fire right outside the front door, it's probably a good idea to start pushing out the side window so you know you're not walking into a raging fire, because fire's hot.
I know that. I'm completely lost my mind, you know.
Most coach buses in North America only have the main passenger door in front of the coach, whereas in Europe, as well as most other parts of the world, coach buses have a front door as well as a midship door. Today, the midship door option is becoming more and more popular in the US, and more motor coach companies are purchasing their buses with 2 doors now instead of 1. But whether your bus has 1 passenger door or 2 passenger doors, be sure to consider them first before you start going buck wild on those roof hatches. That's all I'm saying. With all that said about emergency exits on a coach bus, one of the most important jobs of a bus technician is to do routine checks on the operation and maintenance of these emergency exit options. On top of that, it's also the driver's job to include the inspecting and testing of the emergency exit on a coach bus before he or she hits the road. DOT officers have been known to approach drivers during their downtime and ask them to either pop open the emergency exit roof hatch or pop open the side windows for them, just to have the driver demonstrate that they're working properly and that the driver knows how to properly operate them. If the driver is unable to open them or shut them, either because they're broken or the driver simply doesn't know how, the DOT officer will take the bus and the driver out of service, which means the passengers are going to be waiting for a replacement driver and bus to come pick them up. So guys and gals, make sure you know how to operate your emergency exits before your trip, especially if you work in North America as a motor coach operator. Well folks, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. As always, if you're watching this, you are part of the motor coach world.